Ever wondered what it's really like to self-publish? Obsessive, compulsive, addictive. Autonomy, power, freedom, control. Accountability, responsibility, a heavy burden. These are just a few of the feelings that self-published authors have every single day. In this podcast, we'll explore the everyday of being a self-published author with a focus on process over outcomes. If we do the small things really well every single day and consistently, then the outcomes will take care of itself. Here is what it's like. Welcome to the diary of a self-published author. Hello and welcome to the diary of a self-published author with me, Stuart White. Today's date is the 15th of June, Thursday the 15th of June. I'm recording again in my late evening slot with the kids in bed and the house a little bit quieter at the moment. Coming to you this week from the middle of a heat wave. Many of you will be struggling wherever you are with the heat as well this week. It seems to be a nationwide issue for folks struggling to stay cool, hiding in the shade, drinking cold drinks, and just generally trying to stop ourselves from melting and overheating. So it's been a tough week on the old weather front, and I guess for us writers, staying indoors and sitting in front of the screens with all of that happening has probably been quite difficult, and I would imagine that many of you have struggled on that front and maybe haven't been as productive as you usually are this week. But and I've been the same, to be honest, if I'm being honest with you. But yeah, we have a few things to discuss in today's episode. Obviously, I'll go through my usual weekly diary entries and things that I've been up to from the self-publishing point of view, and we'll talk a little bit more about sort of the wider self-publishing world. So on that note, I wanted to talk a little bit about the availability of events and conferences for self-published authors. Now, these are definitely less numerous than the opportunities that are available in traditional publishing. And it's really interesting because I think it's something that I would love to go and learn more about, to attend more events about. But I guess, for the people running them, they have to weigh up the demand with the number of events they put on. And if there's not enough people wanting to learn more about it, then obviously putting on an event doesn't really make sense. But one event that is coming up is the Self-Publishing Formula's self-publishing show that they do, Self-Publishing Show Live, I think they call it. And that's next week, I believe, down in London. It's one I'd love to go to, but unfortunately, as a school teacher, I will be working on I think it's the Tuesday and Wednesday when the show is on. I'm in school those days in Glasgow, so obviously getting to London is impossible for any part of that. So that's a shame, but maybe we'll better luck next year with the days and the dates and so on. The way my term works, if it had been 1 week later, I could have gone, but it's just the way things are. Sometimes you miss out on these. But yeah, there's not too many of them around, and I wondered, is that something that there could be more of? And actually, I was thinking, is it something that through WriteMentor or maybe just on my own, I could maybe set something up for self-published authors, not not to like appear at myself or anything, just more to set up the actual event and then to attend myself and to learn a lot more about the self-publishing world and how it functions and so on, and get that more of a grasp of the overall ecosystem. And so that was sort of my thinking for this week. I was wondering about events, and I know that there are obviously good associations like Ally, for example, who they do a virtual conference, I believe, every year, which is free to attend if you're a member, and then goes on like a pay-as-you-go type on-demand service afterwards for all the various sessions there. But again, that one's quite a good one. But yeah, there's not an awful lot beyond that. So that's something that I've been musing on this week. And as I say, if you're a self-published author and you're interested in that kind of thing, there is one next week, and you can still get tickets for, I think, at this stage. So it might be worth checking it out and heading along if you can. I know that the lineup for that event is brilliant. It's got all the top people from within the self-publishing sphere, people from Amazon, for example, as well as a lot of the I guess the people who are front runners in self-publishing, who are selling a lot of books, or doing a lot of things right, who are, I guess, pioneers as well in terms of the way they go about things. There's people there that have created softwares and so on to help self-published authors. So yeah, it looks like a great event, and if you get the chance to and you're interested in self-publishing, that's one that I would recommend you get yourself along to. So yeah, that's a little bit of news from the self-publishing world beyond just my own personal world, my own personal corner of that world. But yeah, from my own point of view, I've had a good week. I saw what I think is the finalized ebook cover for my YA dystopian novel, The Nameless, and I'm hoping that over the next week or two we'll get the paperback and hardback full wraparound covers all finished up as well. It's been quite an exciting week from that point of view. I'm still in the edits. I've gone through. I went through one whole revision there, and I'm going to go through it again myself before I think it's going to go to get proofed after that. But that's, it's all an exciting time. I'm now at the stages of beyond the writing, so the production, the marketing, the publicity stages and stuff for this particular book. So that's quite exciting, but also I guess a little bit daunting because it's all that other work that I'm maybe not as strong on. So there's a little bit of trepidation as well as excitement there. But it's coming along nicely, and I'm quite happy with how that one's going. So look out for that over the next couple of months. I made a start as well with my illustrator for middle grade book. I think I maybe mentioned that last week, but been in contact to get some initial ideas and so on. So that's also in the bag. But probably the biggest update for this week, and I'll talk in a lot more depth about the results of this and analysis of it next week. But I've got a Kindle countdown deal running for Ghosts of Mars on Monday through to Friday and of next week, and it's on the Amazon.com marketplace as opposed to .co.uk, which obviously the .com marketplace is much bigger. There's a lot more readers there. There's a lot more people likely to buy it, especially if it's an ebook on discount. And to sort of amplify that offer, I've also placed it with a number of these marketing reader companies, the ones that have got huge reader lists, and they send out a picture, an image, a blurb, and obviously the discounted price for your ebook during that Kindle countdown period, and they help you to sort of reach a wider audience and hopefully get a larger number of sales. Most of the ones I've gone for this time, they are on the cheaper end, so I'm not splashing huge amount of cash on this particular countdown deal, but I'm hoping that the outlay matches the income. That's always what I hope for with these things. I'm not at this stage. I'm not about making money. I've talked about this before, but most self-published authors say that you're probably not going to make money on your first book or even your second, and it's probably more likely to be your third book and beyond that you start to make any kind of profit. So if I can get something close to breaking even on this particular deal next week, then I'll be very happy with that. And as I say, next week I'll fill you in with the breakdown of the actual numbers, the analysis, and how it's going for me and so on. But it's something good. It's something exciting to look forward to. I'll be addicted to clicking refresh on my KDP sales dashboard and checking, and obviously I'll do all the usual things. I'll send out notice of the offer to my mailing list. I'll put it on my social medias and so on, and trying to just generate, as well as the paid reaches that I'll get through the marketing reader lists. Also trying to go as far as I can organically via my own channels and so on as well, and see how many people we can get Ghosts of Mars into the hands of. And I think that I quite like, this is something I guess I've spoken about before, but I quite like having the power over these sort of marketing campaigns. You wouldn't necessarily get that with traditional publishing. You'd write the book, and then after that, it's pretty much over to them. Although you're probably expected to do your own organic marketing, you wouldn't necessarily be doing paid marketing for your own book if it was traditionally published, because of the minimal royalty returns you get on each sale, and also the lack of ability to track sales and so on that you would have in that scenario. Whereas being self-published, you have a lot more control and power over that, and you can see with immediate effect and firsthand the impact of anything you do to try and market your book. So, I quite like that aspect of it. I look forward to these little campaigns that I put on, and just to see how well they do and experiment with them while I'm still quite early in my self-publishing career, and and then obviously tweak things, improve them for next time, and hopefully in the long term I'll come up with a whole bunch of strategies and things that I can do when I'm more and more established, and they'll obviously scale up and work better with more books out there, and obviously with a more directed approach that I would have, and I guess a sharper end to my marketing stick in terms of getting people to buy and read the books and so on. So anyway, that's all to come next week. So I will update you a little bit more on that. In terms of my progress overall, in terms of my writing and planning and so on, I am still looking at getting 2 more books out this year, with the probability that I'll try and get 3 more books out next year. I think I'm still on target for those, and actually if I can even speed that up a little bit, I'll try. There's a number of different ways in which you can do that. Of course, you can obviously write faster. You can try and work in books simultaneously, which is something I kind of do anyway, and just try and speed up the process a little bit, but without taking corners, cutting corners, or taking anything out of the process that are an essential part to it. So that's the task, isn't it? Is to balance those things and to make sure that you're not cutting any corners, while also still bringing out your books as frequently as you can. I know that a lot of people try and do 3 or 4 books a year, those who self-publish. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if I can manage that next year, and try and up that pace, and keep going with the level of output that I think is going to be desirable to help me succeed with this whole endeavour that I'm undertaking just now. In other news, I did a school visit this morning, which was nice. Did it to a few schools. They're all simultaneously on the same call, and it was quite nice. I did a little introduction about myself and my books. The teachers typed in some questions into the chat box. The kids told me about their favourite books, and we had a nice discussion about that. And yeah, it was a lovely little session actually. As a self-published author, getting these kind of events is maybe not quite as straightforward or as easy. But I find that if you speak and present passionately enough about reading and about books and so on, the kids themselves, I don't think, are too bothered about who publishes your books or things like that. I think they're more interested in just finding out a little bit more about writing and reading and so on, that that all of us can discuss and chat with them, and really sort of put ourselves forward as I guess role models and advocates for reading. It's one of those things that I guess as adults, not all adults read, and a lot of kids certainly give it up in their teen years as well. And so anything we can do to encourage reading into adulthood, and beyond just the initial primary years, where the uptake of reading and so on is much higher, then that's all for the good. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed the session. I mean, I do love chatting to the kids. You know, they come out with some some really funny questions. They love to ask you things like, it's always, you know, where do you get your ideas from? How many books have you written? How long does it take you to write a book? Etc. Etc. So yeah, it was a nice session, and I'm glad I did it. And I'm going to send a wee book over to a signed copy of my book over to the schools involved. So that's quite nice as well. And they've got a wee thing to add to their class library. So yeah, it was nice to do that. And I think that the more we put ourselves out there as self-published authors, the more teachers become aware of our work, and they read it and they think, well, actually, it's self-published, but it's good. Like, kids will enjoy this. It's engaging. It's a great story. The more we do that kind of thing, then the more opportunities that we will have, you know, with not only ourselves personally with subsequent books and so on, but for other people who are in a similar boat, because you know there probably still is a bit of a stigma there attached to self-publishing. Some people are still a bit too far up their own backside when it comes to thinking about how this kind of stuff, and so it's nice to be able to do some of the things that, you know, maybe some people think should be preserved or kept for those that are traditionally published. So anyway, that was nice today, and you know, it's a nice little thing to get to do. Especially, you know, I'm a school teacher myself, so you know, I enjoy chatting away to kids anyway. But it's good to do it in it with my author hat on, I think. So yeah, that was nice, and obviously a couple of more books in the hands of school kids, which is great, and we'll see. We'll see if I get any responses from those teachers to say if any kids have loved that. That's something actually I did when I first brought out the book. Was I did a big draw and sent a class set to one school, and I sent individual copies to 5 or 6 other schools, and it was nice to get the DMs from the librarians or teachers who won those to say that, you know, a kid or several kids have come along and have actually read it. And the last section this week, as it always is every week, I'm going to talk a little bit about my health, mental health, and general well-being as a self-published author. I talk about this every week about, I guess, the yo-yo, the ups and downs that we face in terms of our mental and physical health at times, and how, for a self-published author, especially with the scarcer support network that we tend to have around us compared to some of those in the traditional publishing industry who have a wee bit more support, although, you know, in fairness, sometimes that support's lacking for them too. It can be difficult when you're having doubts about things, when you're struggling with ideas for edits, or just with the confidence to think, oh, this is actually okay, this book, because, you know, at times it does feel like, oh, you know, is this good enough? Is this publishable enough? And you don't have that external verification that you have from others, so it can lead to a lot of spiraling negative thoughts and doubts in your head when you're going through, especially because I'm going through edits at the moment, and it's like, is this good enough? When I'm taking this bit out and adding this bit in and doing X, Y, and Z to my manuscript, am I actually improving it? And will this be a story that people will want to read? Is it exciting enough? Is it engaging enough? Does it have a satisfying enough resolution? All of these questions are just constantly circulating in your head, and so it can take a wee bit of a toll, I think. Especially, see, I don't have as much of a doubt during the drafting stage. I don't know about all of you that are listening, but when I'm drafting a novel, there's less self doubt there. But it's this editing stage where it always kicks in, and I think that's why I've got a bit of a negative association with editing, and I think I always dread it coming round, because I think it's associated with negative thoughts in my head, and I know that for me mentally that's not a good position to be in. I'm prone to those negative swirls down the drain, you know, and I get sucked in, and I you know, I just have to try and keep myself away from that if I can. The one of the ways of doing that, of course, if you can find a cheerleader of some sort, it might be like a critique partner, or someone, even someone who is not a writer, but will maybe read your work and just say, oh, this is really good, or it's just someone to give you a bit of reaffirmation at that stage, it's always really helpful. So I've had those kind of thoughts this week, and yeah, it's been up and down as it always is. I've also been having related health issues to do with the heat as well because of my conditions that I've got. So energy levels and stuff have been pretty low, and it's been quite tough to go on at times. And sometimes I'm sort of staring at the screen and I'm like, I need to edit 2 chapters tonight, but I can barely keep my eyes open, and I'm like, what's the point in continuing with this? And sometimes you do need to just say to yourself at that point, well, I need to rest, I need to not do this tonight. But there's and yourself how your own body works, but there's other times where you maybe need to say, actually, I just need to push on through and get this done, and then actually I'll probably feel re-energized and better afterwards, having done the task and not put it off. So that's something you always have to judge for yourself. I think how your own body and your own system works, and you have to make a call based upon that. So yeah, that's in terms of mental and physical health this week. Bit of a struggle, bit of up and down as usual, but hopefully for all of you as well, we're all just taking care of ourselves and making sure that we leave ourselves in a physical and mental state that's healthy, and will mean that come next week and the week after and the week after and a month or a year or 10 years from now, we're still able to do this because we're not been so hard on our minds and our bodies on a day-to-day basis as we toil through this. So yeah, that's I guess an important message to remember in terms of that. So that's everything for this week's episode. We're all caught up. I have a big week next week. I've got a big week here in terms of my writing, but also in other aspects of my life as well. But I will take some time to pop in and let you know about the results of my big campaign next week. And I'll let you know specifically where I've placed the ads and so on, and the impact that each of them has had, and which has been the most effective, because I think that's useful for people to know if they're looking to replicate something themselves. All right, so thanks so much for joining me again for the Diary of a Self-Published Author. I've been Stuart White, and I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.